Parliament Sanitation and Water Resources Committee is urging the Finance Ministry to release funds for the posting of environmental health officers. The reason this worries me is every time we discuss sanitation, people say, oh, let's go back to the days of summer. These are the people who do that.
Yeah.
They come to your home, they inspect, they give education. They are the people at the last mile of delivering good sanitation. Over 2,000 trained officers have remained unposted since 2021. The committee believes the move is urgent as Ghana's sanitation crisis worsens. Committee Chair John Uti Bless has been speaking to the media about this.
Issue is about posting of their young graduates. Over the years, we have about 3-4 environmental school of hygiene in the country. One in Hu, Tamale, and Accra. I think Kumasi, we don't have a school of hygiene in Kumasi. 3 of them. About over 2,000 young graduates have been sitting at home since 2021. Up to date, they have not been posted. And we think that that is unfortunate. As a committee, we are going to do our part. We will be presenting our reports to Parliament. So we need your support. We need you to help us champion their cause. Because we are calling on government, especially Ministry of Health and Ministry of Local Government, to do everything possible. We know our own colleague and Finance Minister is a listening person. They should do everything to issue clearance to the ministries to enable them post this young graduate. Because we cannot continue to allow them to continue sitting at home. Because when you go to the MMDAs, those who are responsible or supposed to supervise and monitor the activities of the service providers are the environmental health officers. And according to WHO standards, an environmental officer is to take care of 800 people. But today you go to the MMDAs, an environmental officer is taking care of over 8,000, 9,000 people. How is that going to work? How is that going to work? How is that going to be possible? How are we going to succeed in the fight against sanitation? We want a clean environment. So in this fight, we decided that it is only proper and important as usual to engage you as a mouthpiece of the people to help us champion this cause. These are 3 main critical issues that were raised before us. And to also draw your attention to the fact that, like I said earlier, we are going to start public hearing exercise very soon. So we need your support. And again, alongside the public engagements, we will hit the ground running. We have more regions to cover. We have set a target for ourselves that we are going to cover all the 16 regions across the length and breadth of the country to ensure that the challenges our country is facing with regards to sanitation is overcome. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is what I have for you in brief.
So this is the first group, environmental health officers trained in our various health institutions, have been home since 2021. Now I want you to cast your mind back to 2021. I mean, what were you doing? That's so far back. I don't even remember. 2021 is like, the year after COVID. So somebody finished school and has still been home. So that's one question. Who's responsible for this? Is it the Ministry of Health or the Ministry of Finance? All right. Who is to facilitate their recruitment? Is it the Finance or Health Ministry? And then the other question is, what is the consequence of their not being at work? A lot of our assemblies don't have these people. So the assemblies are not effective in doing their work at the sanitation level. Now, when I read this story earlier, a medical doctor sent me a message which suggests to me that this is not just about environmental health officers. It appears to be much more broad-based. So he says to me, Bernard, it's not just School of Hygiene graduates. I just discovered that the nurses who recently got posting are those who graduated in 2021. I'm talking about people who started working like a month ago. Those who graduated in 2022 are waiting their turn next year. Here's the thing. Most of them may have already secured jobs outside. Can you blame them? It's been almost 4 years sitting at home. They are anxious at work because they feel they've already lost the skills they've learned in school 4 years ago. I mean, Sky, on many levels, this is just not right. Yeah. Somebody finishes a nurse is trained in 2021 and they get recruited in 2025. That's the whole lifetime, because that's 4 years. I could have gone to school to study something else. I can become a new person in that 4 years. So even the thing they learned in 2021, can they even apply it in the hospital? I mean, this is terrible. How much are they even paid?
That's the question.
How much are they even paid?
That's the question.
Environmental health officer, 2,000. How much are they paid any serious money?
No, I'm not sure it gets up to the thousands. I was at Kaswa Opekuma in 2020 doing About Town, and I met one of these environmental health officers.
Are they ones who wear brown? Oh, no, they're nurses, they're health officers. Okay,
yes,
okay.
Health officer, right? And number one, they don't even have bicycles they are moving with. You know, they are going to communities, restaurants, and places like that to inspect hygiene. Do you understand? So that's what they do. Where we go to eat, they go in there to inspect the hygienic conditions of the places, and in neighborhoods where people live, you know, all kinds of things people are doing. People have sackaways they've dug, people have extended pipes into streams and all those things. They will check, they will give you a chit. If you don't comply by what they see, they can take you to court and all of that. This guy I met was walking in the neighborhood, and he had walked for hours until I met him.
Where?
And then this is Kaso Opekuma.
Jesus.
Inside.
He was walking.
He was walking, and you could see he was sweating. He met the people.
He himself needs help.
Yes, because they have this bathhouse, and they are just left things looking very nasty. And when I asked him of his pay at the time, 2020 or 2021, it wasn't up to 500 cedis.
Are you serious?
I'm telling you. So if they've not been paid for so long, that's bad, because what they even earn, it's not anything good.
It wasn't up to 500.
No, I'm telling you,
as
honestly,
of 2020.
Honestly.
Please, if you are listening and you're an environmental health officer, we want to know your salary. Because, Francisca, if there are 2,000 people that the state cannot recruit, how much are they paid? I mean, even if they are paid 1,000 cedis, 1,000 times 2,000 is what? 200,000.
200,000.
Oh, come on.
1,000 times 2, that's 2 million.
No. 2 million. 2 million. Yeah, but Charlie, about 2 million is
that's 2 million.
That's one V8. How much did they tell V8?
Oh no, V8 is a lot.
Whatever.
It's like $120,000.
No, let's not even go there.
Yeah.
2,000 people employed trained 4 years ago cannot be recruited. We don't know how much they are paid. You're saying that 2020 were paid less than 500 cedis.
Yes.
Are you serious?
From the conversation I had
a
with
month.
Yes. And this was
but that's even below minimum wage.
Yes. So I'm saying,
I assume it's changed. It can't be that same
I
amount.
hope so, because that's even less than national service now.
And your point is that their job is to be the last mile of health enforcement.
Correct.
And sanitation enforcement at the local level.
Absolutely.
So we have one environmental officer to 8,000 citizens instead of to 800. And then the nurses too, they've been home and they were recruited only last month. So it means that those who were trained in 2022 will be working next year. How did we get here? I need to know.
The MP makes a significant point about the schools or related to health popping up. A number of schools, about 3 in recent years. The big question is, what's the planning that the health ministry, considers in terms of setting up these schools and the absorption into the labor market still in the health sector?
Yeah. So is there an oversupply of health professionals?
That's what it appears.
In the context of the health challenges that we have and the internationally acceptable ratios that are normally in play when these matters come up, we are nowhere near what is internationally acceptable. So what it tells you is that we still need to recruit and train a lot more nurses. What appears to be the problem is the deficit we do have in terms of government's capacity to absorb. Because majority of the times what you find is that although you may need a nurse in, say, Bunkurugu Yunyo or maybe Amuchinu, as the case may be, you have a situation where government simply says that it does not have the money to accommodate them. And in cases where appointment letters are issued, questions arise. Okay, who gave you the clearance from the Ministry of Finance for that to be done? Because they claim that they do not have the resources to absorb them. When in fact, the nurses are actually needed in the hospitals. Because go to many of our communities, there are still women today who are dying from what? Pregnancy-related conditions. When in fact, early detection of some of the problems by people qualified to do the same in the cloak of nurses would have dealt with the problem. But we are not able to do that because for some reason government says it doesn't have the resources. Of course, we waste resources every single day in this country. You go to communities that are completely inaccessible. To move a pregnant woman from a rural place to, say, the city center to receive what they call medical attention is an impossibility within many of our areas.
So you think there's not an oversupply? We actually need more.
Yeah, we need more, actually. We need more.
So there's a new statement that has been sent by some group. Francisca, what group is this? Coalition of Unemployed Allied Health Professionals. COOHAP. Yeah,
COOHAP. That's very interesting. And this is a message of solidarity to MELPW. That's MELPWU. The Coalition of Unemployed Allied Health Professionals Association of Ghana, COOHAP, stands in full solidarity with the Medical Laboratory Professional Workers Union in your recent call for financial clearance and employment for deserving laboratory scientists across the country. Your bold decision to issue a 2-week ultimatum to the government is not just a demand for fairness, it is a courageous act that reflects the frustration and determination of thousands of healthcare professionals whose voices have long been ignored. We too are victims of the same systemic neglect and delayed postings that have left many of our colleague medical laboratory scientists, health information officers, physiotherapists, community mental health officers, nutritionists, disease control officers, and more unemployed for years, despite completing all required academic and professional milestones. The injustice of training highly skilled professionals only to abandon them without work must end. It's time the Ministry of Health and the Government of Ghana recognize the critical role allied health professionals play in our nation's health system and act accordingly. COOHAP pledges our full support to MELPW's efforts and reiterates our shared call for 1. Immediate financial clearance, 2. Timely postings for all qualified health professionals, and 3. Respect and equity across all health professions. If the government fails to act within the stated time frame, know that we stand with you, united in cause, voice, and purpose. We believe that together our collective action can bring about the justice and recognition we all deserve.
So you listed some people: medical lab scientists, health information officers, physiotherapists, community mental health officers, nutritionists, disease control officers,
and more.
So all these people are supposed to be in our health system, and they're all sitting at home.
Yeah.
And this goes to some of, if you remember.
But why?
If you remember, we've had a lot.
Clearance for what?
We've had a lot of conversations
They don't have money to pay them.
about how the labs are not resourced, that this is not that, that is not that. If you remember when we had the whole thing about the health minister kind of blasting some doctors, we were talking about all the gaps in the health system. I feel like this is part of it, that a lot of these people who could be doing work are not there. I believe that truly the problem is that the government doesn't have money. And they don't want to say it.
Since 2021.
There's clearly a budget.
2021, they've read like 6
but
budgets.
That's what I'm saying. Clearly, that's what I'm saying. Clearly, there's a budget shortfall that they don't want us to know about. Because there's no reason why you can't employ these people. And it's even, what makes me even feel that way is look at the news about Blackwa saying that we are going to be sending nurses to Jamaica. It's not like our health system is overflowing. So why are we sending nurses to Jamaica? So
because maybe they have money to pay them.
Exactly.
And we don't have money to pay
exactly.
them.
So the surplus we have is not because there's no need. It's
We
because
can't-
we failed to plan.
Yeah, I feel like we're at a point, exactly, like we can't afford it for whatever reason. Not saying that it's good enough that we can't afford it, but clearly there's an issue between the financial projections and the financial commitments and our actual need. Because if we are sending nurses away, all these nurses are not employed. We are going to open all these Agenda 111 hospitals in a few years. How are we going to be able to pay them? So I'm really worried about these things. These developments are really worrying because, like you said, if they sit at home for 3 years, their practice, what they've learned, they'll forget.
Crowd. I mean, it's such a bad.
Because basically, by the time they actually start working, they forgot everything.
4 years. I don't remember what I was even taught last year. Not 4 years. Like, serious. No, Ghana government, honestly. So are you saying it's a finance ministry or the Ministry of Health who's supposed to do this?
So you see, the ministry always makes projections as to how many nurses that they should, absorb in a particular year. But the ministry doesn't operate in vacuum. It would need to necessarily depend on the availability of resources from the national kitty to pay for, those services. So what you have is a collaborative effort, majority of the times, to set the limits and then also find the resources to pay for the same. And before you recruit, as you do know with the public finances management and related legislations, you need clearance in order to go ahead and hire. Where you hire in the absence of that clearance, it is deemed to have been done, unlawfully or improperly. And we've seen people sent home as a result of, the so-called enforcement of these requirements. So, yes, the health ministry does, would say that, yes, we do need the people. But the question is whether we have the capacity financially to pay for it.
Somebody is telling me that this, and if this is true, this is scandalous, that there are over 20,000 allied health graduates, physiotherapists, dietitians, lab technicians, and the list Francisca read, sitting at home since they graduated in 2019.
Yeah, that's scandalous. That's scandalous. And you see,
2019.
Yeah, that's
pre-COVID.
That's 6-7 years ago. Oh. And Bernard,
Charlie,
I don't think that really, if we were managing our resources properly as a nation, it would be impossible to absorb all of these people.
So why are we training them if we don't need them?
Well, so then that's one issue with capitalism. If you open up the process for people to train as many as there are, and you don't have the capacity to absorb, then there's a problem. Inefficiency sets in. Ideally, one would argue that maybe while we claim that we are doing well as a nation, private capital is not developing enough or doesn't seem to have the appetite to want to venture into the space of health. Because look at it. In almost every community in this country, there is the need for those communities to have health facilities.
Yep.
But in many cases, we have two, how do you call it? Chamber and hot buildings masquerading as health facilities.
Are you talking about private facilities now?
No, in both cases.
Okay.
So you go to some communities, people are using their homes. Maybe he's retired as a nurse.
Charlie.
So he's using his home as a health facility, right? You go to some communities, you see Ghana Health Service Chief's compound. And when you look at it, no person should receive medical attention in such a facility, right? And even when you go in there, we do not even have the personnel to attend to, those who are in dire distress. You have to always move from the community center, in many cases, to the district capital. And even in some cases, you go to the district capital, the health service quality that is there is nothing that is capable of curing your condition for you. So you still have to be brought to Accra. So really, we do need the nurses. We need the doctors. But it is the lack of efficient use of our resources, in my respectful view, that allows things like this to continue.
So how are we able to export nurses and teachers to work in Jamaica?
Yeah, because
I guess they can pay.
They can pay.
So are they going to export the ones who have not worked before, the ones who are already working? Does the story tell us where they will come from? And will a Jamaican hospital accept somebody who has been home since 2019?
Well, if they are in dire need of the same and the person has a semblance of training.
No, there has to be streamlining I think there should be policy consistency between the Ministry of Employment and Labour, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, which is leading this thing, Ministry of Health, which is the official institution to hire them, and the Ministry of Finance. And I also think, yes, you can say that we've not had money, but Sky, you can't tell me that since 2021 we've not had money in Ghana. 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024.
Bernard, we entered into what they call negotiations with the IMF, and you heard all the things that Labour said about the potential impact on recruitment into the public service. So we cannot ignore that. They raised issues, and the government came out and said that, well, we needed to hold government spending in check. These are some of the ramifications. We mismanage the economy as a people.
How much is an environmental health officer paid?
Well,
I think it's a question of lack of priority. I don't think it's money, because Sky, if you are paying somebody even 1,000 cedis,
which is a misnomer, isn't it?
according to Caleb, they were paying some of them less than 500 cedis.
Oh, how?
Yes, he said it. You are here.
Government nurses.
He said no, not nurses. The environmental health officer
500 Ghana cedis.
in 2020.
Oh, how?
They were paying less. So even if they've moved it to 800, po,
Even national service people are receiving much more than that.
bro, I'm saying that even if you are paying them 1,000 cedis, there are just 2,000 of them. Are you saying that the national exchequer cannot find money to pay? Multiply 1,000 by 2,000. You said it was 2 million.
That's
A
what
month.
They claim. That's what they claim. That money.
Oh. Do you know how much it costs to fly a first class ticket? It's prioritization. The truth is that the nurses don't have a voice. The health professionals, they've been drowned. You see, this is what has happened. The labor front has been broken, and then the sector specific labor groups are further splintered because of self-interest. I knew Ghana Registered Nurse Association was for all nurses. Now there are different nurses. Now they are allied something, physicians something. Everybody wants to fight for themselves. What happens is that the big boys who go for negotiation may not even remember you to add you to their negotiation. You get it? Because if you are association of allied something, it's too small. So and of course these people are now yet to even get into the workplace. So they don't really have a voice. And I feel like the labor unions too, they are thinking about the welfare of those who are already employed. Okay. And then because the student front is also broken, Nooks and all those things are not interested in these groups because even there are so many different groups now. So there's a question of voice, and the government deals with things on the basis of Charlie, who is a bigger nuisance. All right, so let's go to May Day, let's pay the organized labor their minimum wage so that they can leave us alone to do our thing. These guys, nobody knows who they are, and they also not come together. I'm told there are 20,000 allied health professionals who have been home since 2019. 20,000 is a lot of people.
Yeah.
I don't even know the name of their leader.
But
That's how bad it is.
But take the impact on an individual nurse or allied health worker. So their job requires a certain personal interaction with members of the community. They are not well paid. Caleb was talking about this guy walking up and down Kaswa, sweating all over the place. And he's supposed to have a certain empathy to interact with, somebody who has a problem with health or
advise them on how they are cooking their food in the public or whatever.
Exactly. This is, for me, it's a mental health crisis that these individuals are going through.
Let me read a message. This is a listener. She says, Bernard, I've just employed a trained psychiatric nurse who graduated in 2021 as a sales girl. She's been a teacher. She sold sheets, lots of different things to keep afloat while waiting for Ghana Health Service. I have another bunch that I use periodically to do service and odd jobs that come up. This is really worrying. Imagine a trained psychiatric nurse is doing sales girl work.
You see, we have mad people walking on the road.
Like, why? What is going on with this? Has the health ministry said anything about this? Fred and Co. Has the health ministry said anything about this?
Well, as of 2024, there was this statement that was issued by the Ministry of Health, which we produced in a news story on City FM online, citynewsroom.com. We are working to ensure employment of jobless nurses, Ministry of Health. The story was by Fauzu Masaudu, published on the 17th day of April 2024. Says the Ministry of Health has outlined measures taken to so far facilitate the recruitment of health personnel and ensure the payment of unpaid allowances. This follows a joint demonstration by the rotational nurses, the Midwifery Association, and a group of unemployed nurses over unpaid allowances and unemployment concerns in Accra on Tuesday. Now, in a media engagement, the public relations officer for the Ministry of Health, Isaac Ofeba, expressed commitment to promptly addressing the issues. There's a quote here that says, "Unfortunately, we have gotten to this level, but we are all aware that we cannot employ without clearance from the Ministry of Finance. That also doesn't mean that we are not working to ensure that we get adequate clearance and clear all our nurses who are not employed." The quote continues, "We have enough evidence to show that after we received the list from the NMC, we forwarded it to the Ministry of Finance. Their leader, who always comes to negotiate on their behalf, can attest to the fact that we have given him copies of evidence to show that the Ministry of Health is committed to ensuring their recruitment and ensuring their posting." And then subsequent to that, there was a story that was published very recently February 23, 2025 by GBC Ghana Online. That says that government will not dismiss nurses recruited after December 7 elections, minister assures. Now, the story says the Minister of Health, Mr. Kwabena Minta Kando, has reassured Ghanaians that the government will not dismiss any nurse or midwife recruited after the December 7, 2024 elections. Now, he said the ministry, the Ghana Health Service and Catholic Health Association of Ghana had not terminated the employment of any health worker. Quote, we are committed to building and sustaining the health workforce, he said. Now, Mr. Kandor gave the assurance at the opening ceremony of the Made in Africa Nurses and Midwives Confederation Conference, organized by the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association. He pledged to support them with all their logistical needs to facilitate their work and improve on healthcare delivery. So what it tells you is that subsequent to the claim that they did not have clearance and they were working on it, some clearance must have been gotten, and then they subsequently recruited people into the service. But the question is whether it was enough to actually absorb at least majority of the jobless ones we see around.
And the other funny thing is that we pay them nursing allowance, some of the nurses. And
Okay.
so
When they were in school or what?
yeah. And yet when they finish, we don't give them any work. You know how the deceptive policy, we have to be wise. So
They said they are striking.
think about it.
They are not being paid
I'm
allowance.
not necessarily picking one party, but think about it. The MPP was promising nursing training allowance. Now I'm a nurse. You give me allowance for me to finish my nursing training.
Yes.
Then I'm home for 4 years.
It doesn't make sense.
Isn't it better if I struggle to go to school and then I get employed to get a proper job?
Isn't that cruel?
See, we are. I don't know. We are too selfish.
Yeah.
As a society, and I feel like the nurses and those guys need to talk to each other better, because they are obviously voiceless. I need one to speak to. Carl, find one for me.
Well, there are messages that are coming in.
Okay.
One of them is saying that government should give us clearances, please. So clearly, the one you see there is one from a nurse who is not happy about what's happening. Kakra, please, you want to do
Yes, this one says, good morning, team. Do you know that physician assistants who completed as far back as 2019 are still home? No one gives them attention. Nick from Dampong Healthcare in Spintex says, good morning, Bernard. We also have to turn our attention to physician assistants as well. If my records serve me well, those who completed over 5 to 6 years are still at home and have not been posted. It is, however, sad how the focus is mostly on just the medical doctors. We need to have a holistic approach to medical provision in Ghana as a whole. Hi, Ben. The nurses who got posted are the 2020 group and not the 2021 batch. I'm part of the 2021 batch and we're still at home. The GRNMA, the Ghana Registered Nurses Association, isn't even helping at all. You'll book an appointment and won't even see them. And when you finally do, it's the same story they've been giving us since 2020.
Meanwhile, when COVID came, they were the ones who saved us. Remember during COVID, we even wanted to supply buses to take them. So the guys who finished school in COVID are the ones who got employed last month.
Yep.
That's scandalous. Kwabena Minta Kando, you are the Minister for Health. You are new in the job. I think that this is one of the things you need to deal with drastically. The whole issue about government and politics, building hospitals is great. But trust me, investing in people is better, because it's the human beings who work in the hospital. So I want to urge you and your team, Tony Goodman and co. We really need you to take some action on this. The categories are many. She mentioned about 6. There are nurses, environmental health officers, physician assistants. The others I've forgotten plenty. About 6 different categories. Nutritionists, physiotherapists, mental health nurses. It's a lot.
And our life expectancy is increasing. So older people, the physio, they need it. Like, there's so many things that it's like we're not planning for anything.
The other thing that worries me is that we have a lot of private facilities. Why aren't they absorbing these guys? Because think about it. A lot of doctors in the public service do locum. So most doctors who treat you at either Ridge or Kolebu or Legon Hospital would be doing 2 or 3 other hospitals. So you can say that doctors at the highest level, it takes much more money to train a doctor. So there are fewer doctors. So doctors are having to juggle between 2 or 3 hospitals. But private hospitals, can't they recruit nurses and employ them?
Yeah, because it's also a question of whether you have the financial capacity.
Oh, come on.
And whether where you are located you have enough people passing through with the conditions that would attract, the relevant nurses.
Do you know what I propose? You see how Education Ministry has said that they want to include free SHS to private schools. I think the Ministry of Health should do some census of health, or basically take the data on health facilities, and then let somebody do an assessment of their manpower needs. All right. So like a study that will say we have 2,000 hospitals in Ghana. 1,000 of them are public. 500 of them are religious body owned, churches and mosques, and then the rest of 500 are privately owned. Then they should do a manpower audit to say, we think that for a hospital of this size, you need X number of nurses and doctors, and then encourage the facilities to start recruiting these people.
Bernard, I just wanted to take you back to the sound. I found the sound clip of my interaction with the environmental guard I mentioned to you.
Environmental guard?
Yeah, that was 4 years ago.
He's going to find it. Then let's play
actually, he's Sama. So
the people who sanctioned.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so remember, it was one of the promises of the previous government that should they come to office, they were going to strengthen the Sama thing, sanitation police, and ensure that when they came around your area or when they come around your place and it was not tidy, they were going to sanction you and all that. All in
town council, right?
Town council, yes.
No, we will call it town council.
So Bernard,
can we hear?
Yes.
All right, that's Caleb with the gentleman.
Bibisa o no say eye so ka che me say enye intina wa wonim say ade a enye we yare entontom once na I mean eye hazard
boss obaba na one ne kasa na is she your daughter?
No, I'm an environmental guard.
From where?
Ewuti Senya East Municipal.
So what are you doing? What's the conversation?
I'm on my way doing my
inspection.
Normal inspection.
Environmental guys, sama na.
Sama.
Hey, muda so.
Yes, hopa.
Really?
Yes, one kasa na Simon's paper. I had the to come to the office. Na ya samba back. Ni abehwe say ade aye kan say oyin fi ho no. Say we here. So you there. And they say processing to court.
So it's an environmental guard, what we call Sama. He's going to give a sermon to the lady because according to him, like you saw, the sanitation situation here is not proper, and there are going to be some sanctions after some 2 weeks when they inspect and things have not improved. They could be fined or failure to do so. They could be imprisoned for like 2 weeks, as he says. Is this the first place you have been to today?
Oh, I have been so many places. I'm from J River. I work from J River.
First, everyone is neat.
Every place is okay.
So the lady is gone though. What did she tell you?
She said she's going to call the landlord.
Okay. But you are saying that if government supports you guys, you could do a good job. What kind of support do you want?
The support that we want, they should give us our pay regularly.
Oh, they are not paying you?
They are not paying us.
How much do you earn?
I'm telling you, when I said it on this station, it will shock you.
Tell me small. It's how much?
And it's 95 Ghana cedis.
Are you serious?
I'm telling you that.
A month?
Yeah.
And you are working?
Yes.
Like 30 days?
Even 7 months to 8 months now.
They've not paid you. So if you come and arrest me and I say you collect some 20 Ghana, will you collect?
Oh, that one is working fee.
Did he say 95 cedis?
Yeah, 95.
Are you serious?
95. This was.
Is it officially who is employed? Is it assembly that employs him?
Yes, he said he was from Ewutu Senya East. So yeah.
Are you sure he's properly employed by the assembly? 95 Ghana cedis.
Yeah, that was scandalizing.
I mean, is it per week or per month?
It's 30 days. I asked him.
No, it's below the minimum wage.
And plus, they had worked for 7 months. They were not paid. You know.
No, that doesn't make sense.
It's okay.
All right, so guys, who are we talking to? Why is nobody owning this problem? I mean, the Ministry of Labor and Jobs must also get involved, right? People have been home for 4 years and they haven't been employed. Now, I'm not saying government has an obligation to employ you, but I believe that we have a need for health professionals. Okay, so it's a bit troubling that there's no pathway to employment. That's my issue. It's like you are on your own. You've gone to school. We've subsidized your education, but we don't care if you get work or not. I think it's a problem. You know?
Bernard, I want to share something I'm reading on the WHO website concerning Ghana, this health workforce challenge. It says Ghana faces significant challenges in achieving Sustainable Development Goal 3, SDG 3, that's good health and well-being by 2030, primarily due to persistent health workforce issues. The World Health Organization, WHO, has identified Ghana among 36 African countries unlikely to meet the SDG target for universal health coverage by 2030, citing vulnerabilities in the availability of health workers. A WHO-supported health labor market analysis in Ghana showed a paradox where, despite an increasing number of trained health professionals, many remained unemployed due to fiscal constraints, etc.
Charlie, I somebody needs to help me here, listeners. I really don't understand how this is an issue. As Susu said, we have a lot more older people, so care for people who are above 60 is growing. So the health needs of the population are more elaborate. You need more nurses, right? So if you take your mom or your aunt or your dad to a facility and you're going through a procedure, I think the more people they have, the better. Okay, so I'm not sure we have oversupply of nurses. I don't think so. I haven't done a study, but I don't think we do.
No, I'm definitely not. I
It
mean,
can be.
considering what we know about our country, and you look at the demographics, the data from World Bank and stuff, a lot of these professions, even police, we don't have enough. A lot of even lawyers, police, whatever, we don't have enough.
We need more.
Sometimes it might look like we have a lot because we are in Accra where a lot of them are. So it might look like, oh, we have a lot of lawyers because Accra, there's lawyers. But I'm sure if you go to other parts of the country, they are not. It's the same with nurses, doctors, all that kind of stuff. So I believe sometimes these conversations are colored by where we are in the country. It's easy for us to feel like, oh, we have enough because Accra is fine. But even Accra, let's not even go into that. So it's very concerning. So even when they are now saying that, and that's why I feel like the government has given up on employing these people. That's why they are sending them to Jamaica.
I know the funny thing. So I asked why private people don't employ them. One of them just said to me that the private don't pay well at all. You see, so where's the message? The person said that the private facilities pay them peanuts.
Nowhere cool, basically.
Yeah, where's this message? I can't find it.
Yes.
It says most private hospitals cannot pay us as they are supposed to. They take advantage of us by giving us peanuts as salary. Because we cannot get employment from the government. This is so sad. Yeah, you wanted to add something?
Yes, I was just flowing from what Susu was saying, that we don't have an oversupply. It's the paradox is in the situation. We are creating more than we can absorb. And so it appears that we have an oversupply, but in truth it's because we've not prioritized and planned how to absorb them into the labor market in the health sector.
Tony Goodman is Head of Communication, Ministry of Health. He's happily joined us to talk to us. Tony, good morning. Welcome back to the Health Ministry. I thought you were out of the ministry. You are back there, right?
Yes, I'm back. Thank
Wonderful.
you.
I heard you on CNR with Vivian yesterday on a different issue. But today I'm calling you on health professionals. So apparently, the nurses who were trained in 2021 have still not been employed by the public sector. The environmental health officers who were also trained in 2021 are yet to be employed. According to the committee chair for sanitation in Parliament, there are 2,000 environmental health officers yet to be placed in their district assemblies. Has this come to your attention as a ministry, and what is going on?
Thank you very much, Bernard. I'm grateful for this opportunity, and good morning to our listeners. The issue of health workers not been posted for some number of years. It's actually something that has caught the attention of the minister for some time now. Since returning to the ministry, I can tell you that the Minister for Health has engaged his colleague at the Ministry of Finance on this matter. When they were told that there were some pharmacists who have practiced or have done their national service or rotation for a number of period without salary. You remember the Minister for Finance during the budget hearing in Parliament mentioned it. We had rotation nurses who were actually doing their rotation for a whole year without salary. As we speak, we have a lot of health personnel who have finished their training at various levels who are home for about 4 or 5 years. So the minister has begun some engagement, and I can tell you that for the medical officers, the 34th badge and 35th badge, we've gotten financial clearance for them. And as I speak to you, they are currently going through the portal for recruitment. We've also gotten financial clearance for the pharmacists who have actually completed their rotation and are currently not being paid or have not received any salary. That also has been done. The nurses who recently issued a press statement regarding non-payment of salary to them. That one also, the Minister for Finance has assured us that he's going to release that one too. So these are some of the financial clearances we've gotten and some of the clearances that we are waiting for. It is surprising that for years, 4 or 5 years, we've not given financial clearance to these cadres in the health sector. And I believe going forward, we have to also redirect our focus. Are we training? That is why one of the things we are doing now is to look at migration. We can't continue giving financial clearance. We can't continue recruiting all these number of persons.
So let me understand. Let me understand two things.
Okay.
You admitted that some of the people we've referred to have not been working for 4 or 5 years.
Yes.
Then you said that they are on some platform. So are you saying that they have been recruited or they are being recruited?
Yes, respectfully, we have the medical doctors, those who have finished their housemanship. We have the 34th and the 35th badge who were home. So those have been given financial clearance for them to go onto the Ministry of Health portal for recruitment and posting.
That's medical doctors who have finished housemanship.
Yes, please.
But my question has to do with nurses and allied health professionals. And we are told they are made up of 18 professions. So some are physicians, some are dietitians, some are mental health nurses. So I'm not talking about doctors. I'll come to doctors later. So I just wanted to know, these people who've been who graduated since 2021, have they been employed or are they being employed?
So I was just giving you the whole scenario, what we have been faced with, the number of workers who are home, and the financial clearance we've gotten to for some of them, and those that we've been assured that it will come. For the allied health, the other nurses, the minister has engaged his colleague at the Ministry of Finance, and we've been assured that we have to look at. We cannot recruit everybody this year that is going to be suicidal. Then we have close to 100,000 persons who are currently home. They've not been employed for 5 years. So you can't use just a year to recruit all of them. You have various private training institutions who, because they need to also run their institution, they need to make profit and be able to pay teachers, would admit a lot of numbers, turn them out, and then say, Ministry of Health, you must recruit them. Ministry of Health is training, because we have a requirement. We want to train maybe 100 for this particular region or that. But they do not have that. They are only training, and then at the end of the day, the Ministry of Health, you must recruit them for that. These workers, we are currently engaging finance to look at how best we
Okay.
can.
So this 100,000 will be about about 20K a year because about 5-year backlog, right? This
Yes,
20,000 we are talking about, are they all nurses, or you're talking about the 18 groups, the 18 different, because we are talking about allied health professionals. So you're saying we have about 20,000 health professionals per year who are eligible for employment but cannot be recruited.
Yes. For us, what we do is, I know we have the various councils that do the licential exams for them, like the Allied Health Professional Council. They will deal with lab technicians, X-ray, all other allied health group. They will license them and give us the number of people they have actually licensed in a year. And then you go to the medical Nursing and Midwifery Council. They will also submit number of nurses we have licensed in a year who can practice. So we have these data. So immediately we receive this list, what we'll do is that we'll put a letter, transmitter letter on it, and send to Ministry of Finance. And say, these are the number of nurses we have ready for job. So if you can give us financial clearance. So that has always been the procedure. So these number of people, allied health workers, nurses, are currently in the house for 5 years because the Ministry of Health hasn't gotten any financial clearance for them.
Financial clearance means that the finance ministry has not guaranteed that if they are employed, there is money available to pay them every month.
Yes, please. Yes.
But that does not mean that the health ministry does not need them.
Yes.
I want to separate. So I want to separate the question of our manpower need from our ability to pay, because if we establish that properly, then we can know how the advocacy will go. Is the health ministry saying that you don't need those 20,000 people a year in your health system, and therefore the way they are being trained is unsustainable? Or we need them, but we don't have the financial clearance to pay them. So if the financial clearance is there, we will find work for them to do. So is it point A or point B?
It is both, because you need them, but the financial clearance will mean that part of your budget that will be used to construct hospitals, that may be used to retool the facilities for health workers to work in, would go to compensation. So you need them, yes, but you are careful. You don't want all your budget to go into paying compensation. So it's a mix.
That's where policy and priority come in. So the new minister should be telling us that when he scans the health system, is his priority to build 300 hospitals, or his priority to say he wants to improve the quality of health care delivery in the form of manpower, and therefore he will prioritize recruitment over buildings, or a mix of both? That's what he needs to tell us. For now, we don't know.
We know.
Then tell us.
We know that as we speak, the priority of the Ministry of Health is to make sure that we have everybody going to hospital to receive some medical care. We have people who will not sit in the house because they don't have money to go to hospital. So we are breaking that financial barrier by introducing the free primary health care. We also know that about 45% of our Ghana's mortality is attributed to chronic diseases. Persons who have ailments like stroke, cancers, heart disease, cardio issues, and all that contribute 45% of our mortality. We want to deal with it. So hence the introduction of the Mahama Care. We know also that the various hospitals we have across the country, apart from the retooling we did in 2014, about $260 million. Since then, we have not done any deliberate retooling of the various hospitals. If you go, they tell you that we don't have equipment to work in. So our priority is to make sure that we retool all these hospitals so that they can have equipment to work with. Our priority is also to make sure that the children of this country receive proper and quality health care in a dedicated facility. Hence, we want to establish a 500 children's hospital for the children of this country. So these are some
you are listing many things. I wanted okay. Let me rephrase the question. The WHO has identified Ghana among 36 African countries unlikely to meet the SDG target for universal health coverage by 2020. They cite vulnerability in the availability of health workers as the main reason. So this is what WHO is saying. Okay, so I am not very clear whether the new ministry or the new administration agrees with this, because if they did, they will prioritize recruitment of quality health professionals. For now, I don't know, because sometimes I hear you say we'll finish on the agenda. There's no money for this. We'll build this. We'll do that. Infrastructure, big push. I am saying that if the WHO's report is to be believed, you need to prioritize availability of health workers, but you don't seem to have done that.
We are not looking at what should be done in terms of what a report thinks should be done. What we are looking at is to make sure that the priorities of this country, what Ghana thinks is right for its people, is done. Access to universal health coverage is actually, if I have decided that I won't go to hospital, if I have decided that I will not place a facility in a particular community, it means that those within that community will have to travel to another community to receive care. So the priority here is to introduce the free primary health care. We believe that is the panacea for this particular issue of.
But how do you deliver free primary health if there are no nurses or doctors in the facilities? The fact is that I'm trying to say you've inherited a problem, no problem, but you are not clearly telling me that you will prioritize solving it, because you are basically saying it's a problem that has been inherited. There's too many people who have been trained, and we are not sure if we can recruit them. I thought you could say, let's make a case to the Ministry of Health, Finance, and say, look, based on our target for universal health care, we need these guys. So the Ministry of Finance must find money, because they are paying contractors, or they will pay contractors, they will pay different people. So they should pay the 18 groups of healthcare professionals, because health is wealth. I expect you to be saying that we should help you to make that lobby. But I'm not hearing that. I'm hearing you say there are different things you have to do, and that if you do one, it may affect the other, and therefore we have to also sort of hasten cautiously. And I'm not sure if I am the one misunderstanding you, or...
No, you are not. You are not. You see, where you said you understand the way this economy works like. You don't want to say that use all my money to pay for compensation. We know that compensation is crucial. However, I have mentioned some of the workers we believe should be given financial clearance to. This we have done with the Minister for Finance. The Minister for Health has engaged, and they've agreed on the number of financial clearance which should be given. I have mentioned to you that we cannot give all the 100,000 people financial clearance in a year. So that is going to be staggered in a way.
So what is the target? So how are you staggering it? How many are you recruiting every year? We understand you can't employ 100,000 in a year. I'm not asking you to do that. What is the plan? How are you going to stagger their recruitment?
That I cannot be able to tell you, because I don't have that here. But I can tell you that the conversation we have had with the Minister for Finance is to look at some other persons we want to recruit this year. And that assurance has been given by the Minister for Finance. And then we've also given them some other priorities, including the retooling of some of the hospitals. Because you remember what happened in Tamale recently. Equipment issue. We don't have this, we don't have that, so we can't work. The minister has to call some of the equipment quickly for them to start working. You can send the person. If you don't have the needed equipment or logistics to work with, it's going to be difficult.
Can I assume that they will be recruited first out basis, i.e., you start with the people trained in 2021, before 22, before 23, right? Or
that is what we normally.
That's what you do.
It's based on yearly budget. But the other thing is a migration of health workers. As we are saying that we cannot recruit all of them, what do we do with the rest? The policy now is to have some bilateral agreement with other countries. You remember the Ministry of Foreign Affairs recently had one with the Jamaican government. We are currently having another one with Barbados. We are in talks with the U.S. and then United States and then the United Kingdom to look at how best we can export some of these workers. We have about 4 badges that have already left and are currently in other countries doing.
Tony, it's a controversial position. We are not quarreling with anybody who wants to export health professionals, but the chairman of the committee for sanitation said, for example, that your 2,000 trained officers, these are environmental health officers, who have not been posted since 2021, they bring our ratio of population, basically health officer to population, 1:8,000. WHO requires that you do at worst 1:800. So the question becomes, why are we so happy to say we are sending people to Barbados, to Jamaica, and wherever, when our own population don't even have enough of these guys? You get this? I mean, it sounds some way. It's like your people don't have enough food to eat, and you are happily shipping food to other people to eat. It sounds, I don't want to say misplaced, but I feel like it's almost insensitive to the needs of the citizenry that your ratio of, and I'm using environmental health officers, I'm not using all nurses, but I'm saying if you use that as a proxy, the government's priority should not be sending anybody anywhere. The priority should be, let's absorb as many as we can, and then the excess we will send abroad. But even the ones we are supposed to employ, I'm not employed them. When you are talking to Jamaica, and it's like, seriously, why should I clap for you for such a thing?
Bernard, I disagree. Because if I am recruiting all workers, I'm recruiting every trained health personnel in this country, and I'm not able to provide care to the people. I've recruited. After recruitment, what else? You need to give some logistics for people to. I don't have them. You need to get some of them to go and come back. Those that you can recruit, you do that. You can't leave everybody in the house because I have money for just 10 of them. The rest of the 50 can be home. If you can send them, because if you don't do it, they will go anyway. Some will end up in Saudi and then get themselves involved in various problems. So you want to do the migration properly, monitor their going, whatever additional knowledge they acquire, you are looking at their accommodation, their transport issues and all that. So when they come back, you know where to place them.
Fair enough, but so, can you structure it such that because you use taxpayers' money to subsidize their education, if Barbados or Jamaica or whoever is going to benefit from them, a percentage of what they earn should accrue to the state, so we can use that to recruit their brothers in Ghana? Because you can't give somebody nursing training allowance based on my taxpayer money, and then he'll go and work for Jamaica, right? And what do I get? So the government of Ghana needs to structure it in a way that at least brings in some pecuniary benefit that can then be used to clear the backlog. Otherwise, it's not a good policy, in my view.
No, yeah, we can look at that, but it's beneficial to the country because if you have them in the house not working, they can engage in other vices. They can decide to do other things. They can decide to do prostitution and others. So you may not look at the financial benefit, but you have to look at the other vices that you have actually prevented. But it's a two-way thing we need to look at. They are home, not doing anything. They can engage in other things that may not also be an approved or legitimate thing they are supposed to be doing. So we are not benefiting. But on the other hand, we are cleaning society. We are maintaining safety and making sure that our country.
Finally, since the Ministry of Finance has assured you of some progress, are you able to give us a sense of when you will start recruiting the 2021 batch? What horizon are you working with? Is it June, July, August, end of year, next year? Are you able to even give us a ballpark since the ministry is positive from what you're saying?
Yes. Bernard, I can tell you that as of yesterday, the Honorable Minister for Health spoke to his colleague who was leaving town and has promised immediately he arrived. Because we're expecting that the letter would have been signed before he leaves, but I think an officer did not submit the letter for him to sign. So I will not be able to say today or tomorrow, but we've gotten that assurance. The woman in charge of compensation, the director in charge of that compensation, has also informed the ministry that they have worked on some of them. We will announce to the public what we have gotten from Ministry of Finance. If I mention one today and tomorrow they bring none, that will be a problem. If I mention two and they bring one, that will be a problem. So I will plead that we wait until we get a letter and what we are supposed to be recruiting. Please, I'll let you know.
I'll call you again. Thank you, Tony Goodman, for talking to us. Tony Goodman is the head of communications at the Ministry of Health, giving us some assurance that the Ministry of Finance has agreed to do some of the clearance. So we should see some movement on this in the coming days. We will follow up. Thank you. We'll come back with more. Somebody has sent me a list of all the 18 allied health professionals. You'll be shocked. Nutrition promoter, audiologist, biomedical engineer, dietetics, medical physicist, occupational therapist, optometrist, physiotherapist, prosthetic and orthotics, respiratory therapist, speech and language therapist, community health, mental health, disease control, environmental health, health information and records. Pebre, Charlie, plenty.